So we'll take it from Yud Aleph. We did it yesterday a little bit, but start over again. Alright, so basically the last thing we said we said that we were talking about the difference between looking at the essence as though it's something removed and separate from the kochos hagiluim, the revealed powers, or as it's joined together with them. And we said that the whole idea of Matan Torah versus Purim, which is basically the idea of causal versus essential, right? Matan Torah was that we received the Torah based on a cause. We saw God, there was revelations. Whereas in Purim we received it for no reason, there was no cause, right? So that whole idea, Matan Torah versus Purim, in Purim itself we said that exists as well. That same duality. That's the idea of during the decree and after the decree. So during the decree, so in general we're talking all about tapping into the essence, right? Matan Torah didn't even tap into the essence. But inside of Purim, it's all within inside the essence, but still there's this duality of like sort of a partial connection to the essence versus a total connection to the essence. And how do we see that? Because when the essence comes out in a form where it's not one with your revealed powers, so then yes, your essence comes out, but it's a external aspect of the essence which is limited. It limits the essence in that it puts the essence in a category of being beyond the revealed powers. And therefore, if the essence comes out, it has to take over the revealed powers. It doesn't fuse with the revealed powers. And this is caused during the time of the decree. This is like a Matan Torah type of experience, because the decree is something that happens to us from above. It's a cause which makes the essence come out. But since it doesn't come strictly from us, therefore, and it's causal, therefore it doesn't unite with us, and it's not the real you. It's something that's taking you over and making the real you do something. Much like HaShem held a mountain over our heads and made us do something. In this case, it's your own essence of your soul picking up and making your revealed powers do what it wants. So clearly that's not the true version of the essence. Yeah?
What was the pasuk again that was in the Megillah at the end during the...
V'kibul ha-Yehudim es asher yichelu la'asos. The Jewish people received upon themselves what they began to do at Matan Torah. So, and we made it's a whole philosophical thing. Why is it like that? Because there's two ways of looking at the essence. There's the essence as opposed to everything else, and there's a deeper way of understanding that the essence really is the essence of everything else as well. Right? The essence can be like in this category where it's beyond comprehension, and therefore it's in opposition to all the things that are sort of released and revealed within comprehension. In a deeper sense, however, the true essence is that it bears both comprehension and incomprehension. Is that it bears both the essence of your soul, sort of like the unknown powers of your soul, and the revealed powers of your soul.
Because it's infinite.
And finite.
Yeah, right.
Right? Truly infinite means it's also finite.
Yeah.
Because you say something is just infinite, then you're limiting it. Right. What's that?
What's both?
The true version of the essence is both infinite and finite. Therefore, when there's no cause, i.e., there's no gezer, there's no decree coming against you, and yet you're still able to bring out your essence, it's not coming out because of a cause. In other words, it's the essence is as it is, sort of jiving with your own self as well. And therefore, this is actually a higher version of the essence. It's the deepest, truest meaning of the essence. And therefore, when it says kastis lama, or you crushed to reach the illuminary, you're crushed not because of a cause. You're simply crushed because your nature is to be crushed so long as there's not the essence of God revealed in the world. Even like when I say your nature, even your revealed powers, the nature of your revealed powers as well. Okay. So going on to Yud Aleph, Follow? I love that face. Take it with me the whole day there. Yesh, so we said Yud Aleph yesterday, but we'll say it again here. So we want to connect this Imam Mevur Ba'Maimer with what it says in the Maimer, but Perush HaKasuv, when the verse says, Va'ata Tetzaveh b'nei Yisrael v'yikhu elecha shemen zayis. If you recall, we said also yesterday, this was one of the questions that the Rebbe asked during the midst of this Maimer, that while the Frierdiker Rebbe was explaining Va'ata Tetzaveh b'nei Yisrael, he basically said, all the explanation that Ata Tetzaveh is a binding of Moshe and the Orient Sof. He went on to explain that that happens in every generation, and then he's Pashtusa de Moshe, and then he jumped to Kasis Lamaur, that this creates a situation where you reach the luminary by being crushed in the Gullus, but he left out Vayikho Elecha Shem and Zayizach, the Frierdiker Rebbe. He didn't explain it in his Maimer in that place. So he says, seemingly, he says, okay, in the verse Va'ata Tetzaveh, Vayikhu elecha shemen zayis. The Va'achar Moshe Yitzaveh v'yikasher es b'nei Yisrael. Once Moshe joins and connects the Jewish people, Azay yaviu Yisrael Moshe shemen zayis. Then we bring him this gift of olive oil, which means she Yisrael agdei avodasam yosifu gili or madrigas Moshe. Which means we already said it means we add something to the level of Moshe. So what does this mean in the service of HaShem? This that Moshe connects us is that he is zan and mafarnis es amuna. We know what that means. He connects us. He feeds us our faith. What does it mean to feed your faith? Shamuna tiyeh nosef al kamoshi mitzad hagiluyim da neshama. As we said before, to be fed your faith means that in addition to the way you already have faith, due to the fact that your soul above sees God, which is a makif, he feeds it to you, makes it panemius, gam mitzad etzem neshama. So he connects you to your essence so that it can actually be something that you live with. Not just, we said that because your soul above sees God, it's makif, and therefore your faith will also be makif, which means it won't affect your actual life. Every Jew could have a makif faith. Every Jew does have a makif faith. But the help of Moshe, that he feeds it to you, means that you actually live by your faith.
You'll be doing mitzvahs, right?
You're doing mitzvahs. You have das and elokus. Yeah, like you join it to your everyday life. Basically, you're not. Every Jew believes in God. Simple as that. But not every Jew lives a life in accordance with that belief. So that's Moshe helps you with that. That's what Moshe is there for. Starting from where? Nosef al kamoshi mitzad hagiluyim to neshama. That the faith should be something more than as it is merely from the giluyim of the neshama, which is the revealed parts of this, the revealed godliness in the neshama, which mitzad zesh and neshama shelamayla ro elokus, which is from the standpoint that the soul above sees God. The giluyim of the neshama, as opposed to the essence of the neshama, means the soul above, like in the spiritual worlds. So you want to add on to the emunah that comes merely from that part of your soul, because the emunah from that part of your soul does not affect your life in a practical way, and that it should be gam mitzad etzem neshama. So Moshe connects it to it's also from the essence. So the truth is, what he's basically saying here is that anytime you're really living a life of Torah mitzvahs, and it's not just makif, it comes from the essence of your soul to some degree. The yesh lomar. So we could say, the zeh mashe kasu va'ata tetzaveh b'nei Yisrael, lashon ata tetzaveh, mashma shemoshe mitzaveh es b'nei Yisrael atzmam. We also mentioned this yesterday. The way we were reading it is Moshe connects us to the Orient Sof. Ata tetzaveh b'nei Yisrael, you connect the Jewish people to something else, to the Orient Sof. But another way of reading is that you connect the Jewish people, period. You connect us to each other. Ki mitzad etzem neshama kol Yisrael hem chad. Because from the standpoint of the essence, we are truly all one. So basically, it's just another beautiful reading of that verse. Is that when we'll be connected to the Or Ein Sof, it's automatically going to bind us together and create this Avas Yisrael. Okay. Va'idei avodah Yisrael. Now, that's what Moshe does for you. Moshe basically brings your faith from a makif to a panimi. But through your avodah, that you take it from there and you actually do avodah from that standpoint. The avodah that you do now, from that point on, after he connects you to your faith, which means he feeds you your faith, and the avodah that you do, this is the whole point of everything, is that even your revealed powers, hatzir da kochos, which is your thought, your mind, your emotion, etc., you make it so that they are you matimim le'etzem neshama. You make it so that they are also in accordance with the essence of your soul. That's something you have to do. Because what Moshe does is he sort of wakes you up. He takes you out of prison. He makes you basically he's like a situation of the Gezer of Haman, right? He does something to you where he attaches you to your essence, whether you like it or not, basically. So then you're going to be sort of behaving the right way. It's sort of like something takes you over. But then the job of the Yid begins to bring it into a panemius on your own. And this is essentially, again, this is the last mimer of the Rebbe. There's a lot of things like concealed and hidden in here. This is essentially like the philosophy of Chabad Hasidus, if you will. What's the whole concept of Chabad Hasidus? What did it add, if you will, to general Hasidus that existed before it from the times of the Baal Shem Tov and the Magid? Is this notion of you're supposed to do it yourself, right? The whole idea is that the Rebbe's agreed to write down the Hasidus, as opposed to you're having to go to them to get it. And not only going to them to get it, but they didn't even give it to you in a way that was fully meant for you to absorb and understand in the time of the Baal Shem Tov and the Magid. They told stories, they made miracles, they showed that they were the Rebbe in other ways than bringing it down into an intellectual structure that you could take on your own and sit and learn by yourself for like hours and hours on end. They didn't do that yet, which meant that your reliance on them was total. If you bound yourself to them and basically you let them take you over, you were going to be like uplifted and aroused. But that was as far as it could go. Basically, they didn't give you the tools so that you could then internalize what it meant to be a Rebbe, basically. So the whole idea the Rebbe is saying here is that you want to give a gift to the Rebbe. This is the whole concept of a Chabad Hasidus sort of brought to the equation. You couldn't give that gift to the Rebbe before Chabad, before the concept of intellectualizing the information. Because there was nothing that all you could do was attach yourself, basically. You couldn't bring it into your intellectual faculties and your emotional faculties. That happened from above. The Rebbe was doing that for the Hasidim. And this is still the way that many paths go in Hasidus. So what he's saying now is the whole point that you can bring a gift to Moshe is that yes, he'll attach you. He's not going to stop attaching you. He's going to give you this like unbelievable koach that when you're around him or when you connect yourself to him, you're automatically excited. But that's not that's what he's doing for you. Then you have to do something for him. Which means you have to translate that excitement so that you really get it. You start thinking like him. And eventually you'll start feeling like him. You'll see the world like him. You'll take his attitude and his perspective and truly make it your own. You'll internalize why your soul is willing to give itself for God. Why you're willing to go against the grain of society and like be this, sort of as we've been saying, like this kamikaze yid. It's something that's not because the Rebbe is doing it for you. It's something that you become your own little Rebbe, basically. And that might sound a little wild, but the Rebbe one time said in a sikha, how do you know that every chassid is a little Rebbe inside? Because he can make another chassid. You can only make another chassid if you're a Rebbe. So that's what he's saying. Like this is, and you see that this is the whole way of the Rebbe. Like in other words, go over there and light up the town. I'm doing it for you. Okay, you have my power. You're my shliach. But he didn't tell you what to do. Right? You got to basically figure out what I would do if I was there. And that's called internalizing the essence of the soul.
Maturity.
It's a level of maturity for sure. But this is what you can give to Moshe. Moshe literally cannot give that to you. He can make you do anything. He can bring you to a total excitement and passion you're willing to give your life. But one thing he can't make it do for you is internalize it for you. That's something that is by definition something that one must do themselves.
But to internalize it, you have to use it. In other words, it's not just internalizing. It's like then you have to be a shluchim and use that. If you don't use it, then you're not really. It's like
it's a symbol that it's not
really
internalized.
learn something unless you can teach it.
Yeah, if you're not doing it, it's a symbol that you've not internalized it. Just like, for example, if you're not doing the mitzvahs, it's a symbol that you have not internalized your faith. So this is like a much deeper thing. He'll give you your faith on a silver platter. He'll make you do all the mitzvahs, but to internalize it means, you're going to do it in a slightly different way. You're going to do it in your own unique way, right? That's the thing. It's like it brings out your personality, because that's the whole secret here, is that you've got a piece of God, which is your intellect and your emotions and your talent, which nobody else has. The Rebbe doesn't even have them. So those are like this nitzots of Kedusha that only you can use for God. Now, if you're going to use them in some other way, it means you're not even getting to stage one. You haven't internalized your faith to begin with. But once you're ready to do all the Torah mitzvahs, then you got to bring the Torah mitzvahs into your unique path. And that's basically what it means as shlichus. Everybody's shlichus is completely different because they're different people.
I'm having a hard time understanding.
I'm sorry, say it again?
I'm having a hard time understanding what the essence is. We're saying the essence is coming into persons pneumius, or essence coming into their self. So I'm confused of okay, what's the essence? What's me? What's happening? How do I know what the difference is? What I don't know. I'm just confused right now.
So being connected to something essentially, it's like we were in the sicha that we were saying last night, right? We were talking about Moshe as he's differentiated from other tzaddikim. Is that everybody else, they sort of had to learn the Torah, right? But Moshe, from the second he was born, he was one with the Torah, because his essence is Torah, right? It's like something that you are, right? Versus something you have to learn and adopt, right? So this is the difference, basically. Something which is essentially you. It's like, for example, you could say one of the ways that we could describe this, although it's not a perfect mashal, is like the difference between your intellect and emotion versus your thought, speech, and action, right? That your intellect and your emotion, it's you. Or you take it to like an even more extreme mashal of the same thing. Your body versus your clothes, right? Okay. Your body is you. It's not something that you can you can take off and put on. It's not something you can change, right? I mean, not without tremendous type of avoda. Whereas your clothes you can take off and you can put on. They're not one with you in the same way. They're not essential to you. Your body is essential to you. It's you. Essential means it is you. Non-essential means it's something that I'm trying to fuse with myself, right? It's something that I wear, something that I want to connect with. So your faith could be in one of these two ways. Your faith could be not you, and in a certain sense, when you're a goof, right, and an animal, basically, put into a body with like all kinds of foreign desires, you're running around the world trying to do whatever people do. The thing is, you have this level of faith which is not connected to you, because it's your soul above has faith. It's like you're like the body, and your soul above is like some clothing. You're trying to wear them, but it's not you. So the best you can do is sort of wear them, try and bring them on, put them on. but that's the idea of like that. It's not essential at that level. Your faith. There's a higher level when you realize that really, even in your body, you are your faith. That this thing is not something that is separate from you, that you have to attach to you. It's the essential you. It's just that you have to go to a very, very deep place inside of yourself. You have to go to sort of the essence of yourself to realize that. Because a lot of extraneous things can get in the way, and you don't realize that essentially what you are is just a walking believer. Because that can get concealed, right? To the point that you think that your belief is some sort of thing that you may have, but it's not really part of your essential being. Moshe Rabbeinu, his job is to make you realize that you are just a walking believer. That's your nature, right? But even after he, okay, that's, I think, the answer to your question. But even after he does that,
Thank you, that was really good.
that's not sufficient. There's something that you can yet do for him. Because he basically just turned on the lights that you didn't realize that you're a walking believer. And now you are theoretically, you're walking with your belief. But the thing is that there's a whole part of you inside which you now have to integrate. The part of you that was completely oblivious to the fact that you were a believer a second ago, and now you're like living a life of belief. That part of you still needs to internalize that belief. You're living by it because Moshe Rabbeinu has the power to just like show you that what you are. But to internalize it and to make it so you bring that belief into every little drop of personality that you have, and and make it clear that even the parts of you that thought you were disconnected, they know themselves to be connected. That's what you can give to Moshe, as it were. That's like basically the response job that we have to offer him. All right, so we'll go on. So he says, okay, so Avodah Yisrael. Skip the parentheses there. We'll do the parentheses. Through the avodah of the Jewish people. Even after Moshe does his job and shows us our essential connection, our avodah, that even our inner powers, the tzir of the kochos, the shape of the kochos, the depiction of them, they should be matimim le'etzem neshama. That they too should be connected with they should be in alignment with the essence. So then what you do is, you add something to the essence of the soul itself. Right? Your essence that Moshe gave you was an incomplete version of the essence, because it didn't have the you involved in it. So now when you bring the you actually bolster the whole concept of what the essence of the neshama is. You add light to the essence of the neshama. It's not something that you even get around to saying in too many maimarim, that you can actually increase the value of the essence of the neshama. But the idea being is that you bring the finite part to the infinite, which Moshe gave you. That Moshe revealed into you, you add to it. And that's what it means, v'yikchu elecha. You're going to bring to him this olive oil, because he, as much as he can connect you to the essence of the neshama, he can't connect you with that essence of the neshama. That true essence, he can't do it for you, because it requires a part on your side. So when you do that part, you've given him a gift that he cannot give you himself. You've like given the king something that he doesn't have. Because through doing that, you reveal its true source of the essence, as it is mushreshes ba'atzmus, the essence as it is in its essential place. If you remember yesterday, we said the essence can be sort of relegated to over here, something which is other than the revelations that come out of it. Or on the deepest level, you can understand that the essence and the revelations in their root place, they're all happening at the same time. Like we said regarding the letters of the luchos, these like invisible letters that are happening inside of the Orient. So there's finite and infinite right in the same place. And when you show that, when you reveal the finite and the infinite in the same place, and how do you do that? Moshe gave you the infinite, and you bring it into the finite. That means, if that's happening by you, it means you are now releasing the truest source of the essence, where infinite and finite reside at the same time. So Moshe couldn't give that to you. Moshe could only give you the essence as it was, so to speak, not in conjunction with the revealed powers. So the level of essence that Moshe can give you by himself is not the essence as it is truly rooted in its true place. Because he can't, that's not something that's available. It requires the finite, and you're the finite. So when you tap into it, in other words, basically it requires Am Yisrael to bring Mashiach. And not like we were saying last night, that you're going to have some external excitement, that you're going to tell somebody else that they're Mashiach. No, you got to mamish internalize the teachings to the point that you become those teachings in a very, very true, and it requires the Rebbe literally said, I've done everything I can do. And it was from my standpoint, you got everything I can give you. It's consider it a golden egg, you know what I'm saying? You are connected to your essence. But that's still not the end of the job. You've got to do something now in yourself, and it's not something external. It's not something like you can wave a wand. It's something very, very deep You have to change yourself based on the fact of what I'm giving you. Lahayir. Alright, so going on. Truthfully, we did all that yesterday. And it's like a whole class, but Lahayir Sha'al Yidei Zeh Nisvasev Gamba Achdus Di Yisrael. He says, in doing this, it automatically will increase the achdus of the Jewish people. Think about that for a second, based on our conversation last night. You know you're on the right track if it brings Jews together, right? Because that's the symbol of when the essence comes out. It means it's going to create achdus and harmony, not discord. Sha'achdus di Yisrael al yedei etzem neshama shemizgalis behem he kamo davar nosef al mitziyusa. And he says, why? Because the oneness of the Jewish people that comes out through their essence of the neshama that's revealed in them, in other words, like what Moshe's part is, that's kamo davar nosef al mitziyusa. We already said that's considered like some other entity adding on to their what they believe is their existence, right? V'chein, and therefore achdu zu hi agdei she'osim gufam ikar. Nafsham ikar v'gufam tafel. This is very actually deep what he's getting in here. This is a beautiful point. He sort of takes this is a lashon of the Tanya. Where in chapter 32 of the Tanya, Leiv of the Tanya, it's famous because it's like the blueprints of Avos Yisrael, right? Explains what Avos Yisrael is, etc. Here the Rebbe Mamish takes that and he says that's like sort of stage one, to be honest with you. Like the Rebbe just like, it's like 2 lines, but he basically says that that's only like stage 1 of Avos Yisrael. The whole Lamed base of Tanya is not really getting to the point, the ultimate point. And what does he say? What does it say over there? It says over there that true Avos Yisrael is when you make your nefesh ikar and your body tafel. That so long as you have bodily needs and selfishness, so clearly you're not going to be able to have proper love. But if you look at the soul, for example, everybody has the same soul. Ava achad lekulana, kula matimos. It says we all have one Father. We're all sort of the same. So if you tap into the soul, so what's mine is yours, what's yours is mine. We all have the same needs. We're the same at that level. And therefore you can love yourself. And since that other person is a part of yourself, the soul of the Jew is like in all of us, so that's how you achieve Avos Yisrael. That's what it says over there.
What's tafel?
Tafel means secondary. So let me read that line again, real quick, or just outside, whatever. The unification, the achdus of the Jewish people, that comes from this essence of the soul that Moshe gives us, is also not a true achdus. Just like the essence is not a true essence, the achdus, the unity, is not a true unity. The achdus that we feel is like something that's imposed upon us. And why? Because it's about making our souls the main thing, and our body. Don't look at your body. If you're going to concentrate on your body, you're not going to be able to have Avos Yisrael. Well, guess what? I have a body, and it's just not concentrating on it may, in fact, lead me to have more Avos Yisrael. But that Avos Yisrael is going to be always something that's sort of imposed upon my body. It's not going to be germane to my body if the only way to achieve it is to make my body secondary. When meanwhile, I have all kinds of bodily needs. So it will create Avos Yisrael, but as I was saying, it's like stage 1 of Avos Yisrael. Just like we had stage 1 of attaching to the essence. But when you will internalize mamish, the teachings like we talked about a second ago, when you reveal inside of you the essence of the soul as it is in the true source, which means that infinite soul and finite body are the same at that level, because you've totally made the language of your soul translated into your body, that your body is no longer at odds with your soul. Therefore, you don't have to look at it as tafel and ignore it in order to tap into the soul. You've turned the body into a receptacle of the soul. By making your revealed powers one with your essence. Therefore, the achdus of the Yisrael, he bekol inyanim shalahem. Therefore, you can have unity in everything you do, because it's now no longer that I have to overlook my physical concerns in order to love you and attach to you, because we have the same spiritual concerns. Even physically, there's no more disconnect between my godly life and my spiritual life, because I've internalized this thing down into every little nook and cranny of myself. Even my physical concerns are not a barrier between you and me. Like the Rebbe, he had physical concerns, he had a body. He did not have to make his body secondary and his soul primary in order to love us. Because even his physical concerns were not something separate from his spiritual concerns. And therefore they didn't stand in the way with selfishness and mine and yours, even at the physical level, because he internalized it right down into his physical needs. Gam b'inyanim hashaychim la'aguf. Therefore, you can have this achdus even in things which are connected to bodily matters. It's a little bracket there, but that's a powerful statement. Basically, he's sort of like rewriting the new version of the Tanya there. What's that? No.
Big step.
It's a big step. I mean, he's talking about some real, futuristic levels of avoda.
Dance, flash mobs.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, again,
Yeah, it'll be perfect after.
it depends on your message, basically, But you can see flash mobs of scantily dressed women in Tel Aviv. I don't think that's necessarily getting to it. But in other words, yeah, you're right. The idea of even beguf, we have a sort of no, because I was just saying, physically speaking, it's hard to say just what the thing is that you're doing, because everything physical could fall into this easily category of being your needs versus my needs. My philosophy is going to be, expressed through this flash mob versus yours. So it's getting to a very high level. We're just naturally in congruence. We all just sort of have the same. We can share physical space in a way where there's no more mine and yours. In a certain sense, or what's mine and what's yours is just totally recognizable and obvious that this is yours and this is mine, and it needs to be like that. It's like just removing sort of selfishness from the situation.
Is he describing purifying the body to the point that it's unified with the Neshama?
He is. He started off talking about it where it's not unifying the body per se, but it's unifying your intellect and your emotions. Right? Those are your revealed powers. That your faith is internalized. Like you don't just believe in God, you must know that is the true thing. And then you feel that way as well. But it automatically that would translate to internalizing into your actual physical concerns. V'al pi zeh yuvan ma shekasu ba'maimer. That through this we can understand what it says in the Maimer. Sha'al yidei sheYisrael mosifin. That through the fact that Jewish people add al yidei avodasam, through their service, b'madregas Moshe, into the level of Moshe, they bring him up a level. Al yidei zeh ner tamid. Then through that, it will create a situation of ner tamid. We didn't even touch this so much, except for in the very beginning we asked the question, why in one place they say la'alos ner tamid, and the very next verse it says me'erev ad boker. It should shine from evening till morning. If you remember, that was the fourth question. So he says that the Jewish people add through their service to the level of Moshe. It says through this there will be what's called a ner tamid, because it says vayicho elech Hashem en zayizach kasis lamaor la'alos ner tamid, to bring up a continuous candle. When we add to Moshe, it will make a ner tamid. What does it mean? L'chora zeh shan ner da neshama. Seemingly this, that the candle of the soul, which the soul is called the candle, as it says ner havaya nishmas adam, the candle of God is the soul of man. Seemingly it's tamid. Seemingly it's a ner tamid. The soul is continuous. B'shave b'li shinuyim. Seemingly it means equal all the time without change, because that's what it is. It's an eternal entity which is not affected by time and space or anything else. Hu ayidei gilui etzem neshama shenimshach al yidei Moshe. Seemingly, the fact that you get a point that you have a ner tamid, that your soul is constantly with Hashem and it doesn't get into interruptions, that happens through the revelation of the essence of the soul that's brought to you by Moshe. Va'ata Tetzaveh. When he will join you to the Or Ein Sof, you'll become a tamid, right? You'll become continuously ready to do the avodah. You'll never be shaky. Your faith will never leave your hands. The be'etzem neshama ain't shayach shinu, because when Moshe connects you to your soul, your essence of your soul, it's not relevant anymore that there should be change or wishy-washiness in your faith. But in the Maimer, Omer sha'in the ner tamid hu ayidei sheYisrael mosifim b'madregas Moshe. But strangely, The Mimer of the Friedrich Rebbe says that this level of Tamid does not come from the standpoint of what Moshe gives to you, but it only arrives at this Tamid level after you give him back yourself from below. You understand the whole question here? Tamid, seemingly continuousness, would seemingly be granted already by what Moshe gives you, because once you've attached yourself to the essence, seemingly you're on board all the time. But in the Maimer, the Friedrich Rebbe says that the level of Tamid, of your soul being a continuously entity, always with God, is only arrived at after the second stage, that you give back Moshe your thoughts and heart. Vayikcho elecha, only after the Vayikcho elecha situation. V'yesh lomar, so how do we get around this? What does it mean? That when the essence of the neshama is revealed to you from above to below, through Moshe doing it, I'm going to attach you to the Or Ein Sof. When that happens, yesh chiluk ben erev uboker. You don't reach tamid. You're still in the realm of difference between night and day. In other words, this is what the Friedrich Rebbe means, that you don't get to a continuous state when Moshe does it for you. There's still mi'erev ad boker. There's still a difference between night and day. And when's the main revelation of your soul? When does it mainly come out? When Moshe gives it to you? In Erev, in a time of evening, when there's concealments against God, when there's blocks from prohibiting a Jew from doing Torah mitzvahs, so you see that the Mesiras Nefesh comes out, and the essence is revealed. Right? When Moshe will connect it to the Or Ein Sof, it comes from him. There's a big difference between the time of the time of the Gezerah and the time of relative peace, because you'll only see your essence come out in the time of the Gezerah. Erev, evening, darkness, is when you'll be a tamid. You'll be very clearly seeing that you're connected with the essence of your soul. When times are good, it won't show so much.
That's being crushed.
It's being crushed at level 1.
Right.
Because Moshe's connecting to your essence reveals the power of Mesiras Nefesh. As we said above, that even those in Russia who during the time of the Gezerah they stood in an unbelievable Mesiras Nefesh because they were connected to their essence. When they came to a place where they could do mitzvahs, casually, easily, boker, they went into the daytime. You don't see the Mesiras Nefesh on them anymore. Right? So that's not called a tamid. That's not called a continuous, because it goes away when there's no misnagdim. When there's no opponents, it goes away.
It's slack, right?
Right? Only you see what a Jew is all of a sudden when there's critical times. Where he says the amisis indi the ner tami, the true concept of a continuous flame. She'ein shayach bo shina, when there really is no change. Hu ayde avodasam shel Yisrael shegam hakochas hagiloyim. It's only when we do this job when our inner powers yuchad im etzem neshama, they become one with the essence of the soul. So no one needs to come after you in order to stoke it up. It's already there every second. And this is you see this because the person is running around on Mesiras Nefesh even when no one's trying to kill him. He's busy building buildings and making classes and turning the world upside down, even during the morning, even when there's no harsh exile, God forbid, or harsh decrees. And that's the ending of Vayikcho elecha. So Imam is a brilliant thing. So he says, why does it say Lalos ner tamid at the end of the pasuk, which says they will bring you oil? Because you only get to the true level of tamid, a continuous connection to your soul, after we bring Moshe the oil, after we do the job on our end and connect our soul to our own selves, basically, having taken the baton from him. You follow this? Love that face.
Not completely, but happens.
Right? It's an erev and boker. There's a distinction between night and day. It's not called continuous.
To get the essence from Moshe, do we need to do anything, or that's just the gift from above? And how do we merit that?
I mean, I think you do have to do something. In other words, you have to listen to Moshe, right? But internalizing what you're doing, I mean, listening means obeying, right? It's a nasa v'nishma. I'll do it. The Rebbe said this, we do this, we do this. The Rebbe said, think this, I think this. But you don't think it because you think it. You think because he told you to think it. Which is good. Thinking what he told you to think is good for you. And it's going to connect you where you need to be connected. But it's not going to do the job for you. You got to think about what he told you to think about. And make it yours. Those become your thoughts. You think like him. You come up to the same conclusions as him. And I know you're about to say something. Let me just finish a point. I like to look at the original shluchim, you know. The Rebbe didn't tell them exactly what to do on shlichus. Even something, for example, like something called Beit Chabad. You know what? The Rebbe did not initiate that in a revealed way. That there's something called the Chabad house. The Rebbe didn't say, go out to California and open a Chabad house. He did not. He said, go out to California and report to me what you decide to do. Think about that. The Rebbe did not say, go out and light public menorahs in the city square. He said, go to Philadelphia and report to me. What are your activities? So they reported, Rebbe, we decided to make a da-da-da. The Rebbe said, I don't know if that's going to work. We decided to make something called Chabad house. All right, go with it. I like that idea. In other words, they tapped into on their own, like their Rebbe's sort of vision of reality. The Rebbe didn't tell them; they had to figure it out themselves. That's really deep. The Rebbe didn't tell them to make a menorah. They were like the Rebbe wants mamish, and it turned into they did something was arguably illegal, but like they were like, this is what the Rebbe wants, and the Rebbe didn't, and the Rebbe signed on for it. And you can literally become one with the Rebbe's vision of reality. It requires a heck of a lot of self-sacrifice and sort of connection, but because at the end of the day, what does it say in Tanya? We're anyway part of the Rebbe. The tzaddik who runs the generation, he's like the brain and we're like the feet. Spiritually speaking, we're anyway just an extension of him.
We're seeing that's the problem. We're seeing less like that's the problem. That people are just doing things because they think that's what the Rebbe's will is.
Okay, but then they asked people. In other words, those people asked anyone who was going to do something and try something out. They didn't just run with it until the end, until they got permission from the Rebbe. So it's not different today. In other words, you can try things. You can be creative. They tried. What haven't they tried in Lubavitch on Shlichus? Tried everything, but always sometimes they say no. You know, I remember I was in Shlichus. I had this crazy idea. Whatever, I'm not going to get into it now. And I planned it out with a budget and people, and I talked to all these professionals, and it was like I presented it like I had mamish, I found the golden carrot. No, I don't think this is going to work. In other words, and the Rebbe said that plenty of times. People tried pu'ulas, and the Rebbe's like, no. But sometimes, if you're mamish zoche, and you're really connected, you get into this thing where you're doing something that the Rebbe wanted to do, and he didn't even tell you to do it, because you've internalized it. According to this, we can explain what it says. Shekasis lamaor nemar bekasuv behemshich vayicho elecha. We now know why the word kasis lamaor comes after the words vayicho elecha. I know this is you maybe don't remember all these different things, but this is another question the Rebbe asked in the beginning. You probably do remember. He was saying like this: V'ata tetzaveh b'nei Yisrael means you connect the Jewish people. Right? Then the Frierdiker Rebbe brought the Indian about Mordechai in every generation, Moshe in every generation. And then he brought this idea that Kasis Lamaor, that what does Mordechai do? He connects it to the Jewish people, even in generations like Mordechai's, which means you're broken because of the Gullus, and that enables you to reach to the Ma'or. And everything was fine and good, except he left out the words, Vayikchu Elecha. Right? We had this whole conversation before. He, in the midst of this drasha, he left out the Vayikchu Elecha. And we're saying that why does it come?
Why is Port Solutions supposed to
That was but basically, why does it say Kasis Lamaor after? So it's a slightly different question. That was the question we just answered a second ago. My apologies. So he says like this: Kasis Lamaor is said in the verse after Vayikhu Elecha. The idea is the order. In other words, it says Ata Tetzaveh Bnei Yisrael, right? And then seemingly, the truth is he's more or less answered this just now, but it's seemingly it should say Kasis Lamar. Once the Jewish people are connected to the Orient Sof, then seemingly if we're in Galus, if it's Kasis, we're going to reach the Ma'or. So in other words, why is it said after here? Kasis Lamar nemar b'kasus behemshich vayikhu lecha. Why does Kasis Lamar come only after vayikhu lecha? Now we can understand, because the true Kasis, we just said, the true brokenness is not coming from the fact that you're just stam in Galus, that there's a decree against you. Let me explain again. I feel like I'm just being mabalable, everybody. According to what we just said now, we can now understand that Kasis Lamar, the words crushed to reach the illuminary, are said in the verse after Vayikhu Elecha. After they will bring oil to Moshe. Why? Ki Kasis Lamar nichlal gam zesh Yisrael hem shvurim v'nidakim Kasis mizeh shem b'galus. Because the words Kasis Lamar do not merely indicate during a time of a decree, but they also include inside of them the notion that we're just crushed from being in the Galus. This comes through our avoda. Being crushed in the Galus is not a natural feeling. You have to work and deeply understand your situation in order to be crushed just from the fact that there's no Beis HaMikdash in the world. That even your revealed powers must be in alignment with your essence of your soul. Your essence of your soul is crying every day. There's no Beis HaMikdash. But your revealed powers are shaykh to being covered over by klippa. You got to remove those klippas so that you really truly feel sad that there's no Beis HaMikdash. That's avoda. That's vayikhu elecha. That's bringing Moshe the oil. And the level of the luminary of the soul that's revealed through this, that we're just found in the Galus. He etzem and neshama kamoshi mushrashis ba'atzmus. We already said this is the higher level of the essence of the soul, which is rooted in the true place of the essence. And that is why it says Kasis Lama, or crushed to reach the illuminary, only after it says they'll bring you olive oil. Because it's referring to the true crushed. The crushed of just being in the Gullus and feeling that crush only comes after we bring Moshe the olive oil. It only comes after we do this avoda on ourselves and change ourselves and thoroughly internalize our situation. Then we get crushed just from being in Gullus. And therefore the pasuk says, they will bring you the olive oil, and then you'll be crushed to a luminary, because it's talking about the higher level of the luminary. And therefore, the notion of crushed here does not refer to the time of the decree, but after. Let's just finish. We have one little line left here. So he says, "V'hine aperush ha'pashtus v'ata tetzaveh b'nei Yisrael v'yikhu elecha." The simple meaning of you will command the Jewish people and they'll bring to you is that Moshe will command the Jewish people, Tetzaveh b'nei Yisrael sheyikhu elecha, that we'll bring him something. Moshe Tetzaveh b'nei Yisrael sheyikhu elecha. Right? The simple meaning is that Moshe will command us not to connect us, but the simple meaning is he'll command us to bring him something. We can also understand this inwardly. Are we like stressed in time right now? Because I don't know. No? Okay, so let's just calm down for 1 second. He says like this. The fact is that it says V'ata tetzaveh b'nei Yisrael vayikhu elecha. The simple meaning is Moshe is commanding you to bring him something. He's commanding you to do vayikhu elecha. What do we say vayikhu elecha was? That you're doing it for Moshe. You're doing something. You're bringing him something. It's all from you. We're getting to something a little bit strange and deep now. How do you even get your first foot forward and bring him something? He commands you to bring him that something. Va'ata tetzaveh b'nei Yisrael, command them that they should bring that to you. So even the part that you're bringing to him, he gives you the power to do that. It's not like it's really you're all on your own, because he commands you to bring that to him. And this is going on this deep level. The Rebbe never really leaves you by yourself. Even your ability to do the work on your own, you get that power from him. It's be'ofen shemamshich lem nesinas koach. He gives you the empowerment to vayikchu elecha, to bring him the oil. Kamo kenu b'nogei l'Moshe shebedoreinu. And the same is true of the Moshe in our generation. And he says here by name the Frierdiker Rebbe. Kavod kedush mor v'cham admor nasi doreinu. Shavodaso la'orer u'legalos es amuna, that his service was to arouse and to reveal the amuna shebechol echad miYisrael, inside of every Jew. Shemitzad etzem and neshama, from the standpoint of the etzem and the neshama, is be'ofen she'achar kach yavdu avodasam b'koach atzma, in a way that afterwards they'll do the work themselves. Again, this is like the Chabad, in perfection. They give us, they intended to give us the connection to our essence in such a way that afterwards we could connect to it on our own. They gave us the whole package, but the difference is they didn't just connect us, they gave us these teachings basically, which allows us to internalize it in the process of connecting us. They also enabled us and empowered us to bring back to them the goods of our true being, of our innards, and to connect with them. All of it came from them. Vadshu ner tamid, to make us into a ner tamid. They gave us a normal Moshe Rabbeinu. He could just make you an Erev Uboker type of Jew, because he can connect you that it comes out into hard times. But when they gave you the information to connect yourself, they can turn you into a ner tamid. She'ein shaykh bo shino, that it will never change, even from the standpoint of the kochas hagiloim. And in conclusion, al yedei zeh zochim b'karav mamash, we will be meriting close soon to the Geula HaMisis VaShlema, the true and complete redemption. Sha'az yagili l'kus gam etzad amata, where the revelation of God will become also from the standpoint of down here. V'az havas shemen v'alakas neros, then we will bring this oil and light the candles, gam b'gashmius, physically, the Beis HaMikdash HaShlishi, in the third Beis HaMikdash, Geula HaMisis VaShlema, al yedei Mashiach tzidkenu b'karav mamash.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Not just.
Woo! Ata Tetzaveh.
Wow.
That's it. Consider yourself empowered.
There was a word for it, magnanimous, that he does that to help us. Like a good parent wants to see your better than you.
Right.
Very nice point.